What if a modern Boeing 777, one of the safest aircrafts in the world, simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind no trace, no distress call, and no clear answers? This is the story of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, the greatest mystery in aviation history. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 prepared for a routine journey from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The Boeing 777 carried 239 souls, passengers and crew from 14 different countries. It was supposed to be a 6-hour flight across the South China Sea, but what happened next defied all logic and science. At exactly 12:41 a.m., MH370 took off smoothly into the night sky. The weather was clear. Pilots Captain Zahiri Ahmed Shah and First Officer Fariq Hamid communicated calmly with air traffic control. Everything appeared normal. But less than 40 minutes after takeoff, the plane's transponder, the system that tells radar its position, suddenly went dark. The last words ever heard from the cockpit were routine and calm. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Moments later, the aircraft vanished from civilian radar. At first, authorities assumed a technical glitch, but soon, panic spread through the control rooms as attempts to reach the plane failed. MH370 had disappeared. Military radar, however, told a different story. Instead of continuing north towards Beijing, the plane had sharply turned west, crossing back over the Malaysian peninsula, flying for hours across the Indian Ocean. This wasn't a mechanical failure. It looked deliberate. For days, 26 nations joined what became one of the largest search operations in human history. Ships, planes, and satellites scanned thousands of miles of ocean, yet found nothing. No wreckage, no distress signal. Just silence. Then, weeks later, a faint clue emerged. Satellite data from a company called Inmarsat revealed that MH370 had continued to send automated handshakes, pings, to satellites for nearly 7 hours after it disappeared from radar. Those signals placed the plane somewhere deep in the southern Indian Ocean, one of the most remote places on Earth. Search teams redirected their focus there, but the ocean floor was a graveyard of mountains and trenches. Years of scanning turned up nothing but heartbreak and confusion. It wasn't until 2015 that a piece of the plane finally washed ashore. A wing fragment called a flaperon, found on the beaches of Réunion Island near Madagascar, over 2,000 miles away from the search zone. Over time, more debris appeared along coastlines of Africa and nearby islands, all confirmed to be from MH370. But the main wreckage and the flight recorders, the black boxes, were never recovered. So what really happened? There are theories. Some believe the plane suffered a sudden decompression, knocking out everyone on board while the aircraft continued flying on autopilot until it ran out of fuel. Others suspect a deliberate act, perhaps by the pilot, steering the plane into the ocean for reasons still unknown. Cyber hijacking, cargo explosion, or military interception have all been debated, but no evidence has ever proven any of them. The ocean, vast and unforgiving, still guards its secret. In 2018, the official investigation concluded with more questions than answers. The report confirmed that MH370 changed course intentionally, but could not explain why or by whom. It read, "The team is unable to determine the real cause for the disappearance." To this day, families of the victims continue to search for truth. Independent researchers and oceanographers still study drift patterns, satellite data, and new technologies to narrow down the possible crash site. Yet the silence of the deep Indian Ocean remains unbroken. More than a decade later, Flight MH370 stands as a haunting reminder of how even in our age of global tracking, satellites, and high technology, an entire Boeing 777 can simply vanish. Perhaps one day, the sea will surrender its secret. Until then, MH370 remains not just a tragedy, but the greatest unsolved mystery in aviation history.